Hello everyone, this is part 26 of What If Naruto's Mother Was Tsunade Senju, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Previously on Hope of the Senju clan. When Genma called Yugito and Naruto's down, the crowd erupted into loud cheers, mainly because many were eager to see the Senju air fight again. But as excited as the audience were for the upcoming match, none were more excited than the two participants, who turned and smirked at one another when they heard the names being called. Looks like we're up Yugito-chan, Naruto said, who pleased that he was now facing Yugito. So it seems, an equally pleased Yugito, since this was the match she had been waiting for this match ever since the preliminaries ended. You ready? Tisk, do you even have to ask? Yugito replied, where she and her fellow blonde just smile, and walked to the stairway and made their way down to the arena to begin their rematch. Disclaimer, I do not and will not ever own Naruto or any of its characters. I only own the characters I created myself. In the audience. Well, this certainly will be an entertaining fight, wouldn't you agree, Enrai-sama? The Fire Daimyo said, where he turned back to his counterpart from Kaminari no Kuni, Lightning Country, who was sitting behind him and his family. That it should, Kasai-sama, the Lightning Daimyo replied with a nod. The Lightning Daimyo was a dark-skinned man with a beard and silver-framed glasses. He wore a loose-fitting kimono and dark-colored cloak over it, along with the customary headgear of the Daimyo of the Five Great Nations. Perhaps we could make things a little more interesting. The Fire Daimyo suggested with an amused smile. Oh, and how exactly would we do that? The dark-skinned Daimyo asked with a raised eyebrow. By adding a small wager to the outcome of the match, that elderly Daimyo answered with the same amused smirk. Oh, and how much are you willing to wager on the boy? How about 80 million ryo? Upon hearing the amount, the guards of the two daimyos turned to gap at elderly man, at how he was willing to bet a large fortune on Naruto winning. Naturally, even the Lightning Daimyo was surprised by the about his counterpart from High no Kuni, Fire Country, was willing to risk on Naruto. I must say, Enrai-sama, I'm rather surprised by this. It is not like you to be so sure of someone, you must have a great deal of faith in the boy, commented the Lightning Daimyo. I owe young Naruto-kun the life of my granddaughter here, and I have faith in his skill. He was trained by both his mother and Jiraiya-kun, who, as you know, are two of the Densetsu no Sanin, legendary three ninjas. Yes, I see your point. Very well, I accept your bet. I too have a great deal of faith in the girl Yugito. The Yondaime Reikage himself praises the girl as one of the most promising genin that Kumo has ever produced. She has gone through many years of specialized training and has been trained by B-san, who is the strongest shinobi in Kumo. I see. Well, it should be a very exciting battle between two such skilled and young shinobi, the Fire Daimyo said. It doesn't matter how strong she is, Naruto-kun will still win, Rurochio declared as she joined the conversation. My, your granddaughter seems rather sure of the boy, the dark-skinned Daimyo remarked. Yes, she is, as Rurochio-chan is rather fond of young Naruto-kun, the elderly Daimyo replied as he smiled down at his granddaughter, who turned away to hide her blush. Well, this should be an interesting fight, Kakashi commented, who had finally been allowed to get up from the floor by Kushina, but had to stand since the redhead stated he still did not deserve to have a seat. Indeed, Yamato remarked. If Naruto is right about this girl, he won't have it easy, Asuma stated. Maybe, but he should be able to handle himself pretty well, Kushina replied, since they had trained Naruto for the sole purpose of standing up to Yugito and Gaara should they use their Bijuu's chakra. Looks like we've just made it in time, Samui, an injured Omoi said, who had just arrived thanks to his female teammate helping him to the stands, where they were now seated next to their sensei. Yes, we have. This battle should be very cool, the busty blonde teen replied. Looks like Senju is up again, maybe he will show a bit more of his abilities this time against the Kumo girl. Akatsuki said. We'll see soon enough, Kuratsuki replied, as they waited for Naruto and Yugito arrive in the arena. Let's see if all the rumors about you are true, Hellcat, Mai thought with a serious look as she waited for the match to start. It seems the match Orochimaru-sama has been waiting for is finally about to appear. Now we will see how much Naruto-kun has improved this past month, a disguised Kabuto thought in the stands. Now let's see how well you fare against her. Senju, a recovering Sai thought, who had just come from the medics after they treated his wound. Not far from where Sai was standing, the Kiri Genin Saito sat alone waiting for his sensei to return, who had left to check on his teammates. But when the Kiri swordsman returned, the young genin was surprised to see he was not alone. Haku, Chojuro, what are you two doing here? Saito asked when he saw his teammates. We came to watch the match, Haku replied, as Zabuza helped her to her seat, while Chojuro sat next to her. But shouldn't you both be resting? We're fine, Saito-kun, I can assure you, the female ice user answered, while Chojuro nodded. Naturally, Saito was not convinced, where he then looked to his sensei, who said, Don't look at me. I tried but convinced them, but the two of them wouldn't let me leave until I agreed to take them with me. At this, Saito could only sigh, since if Zabuza couldn't convince Haku to stay in the medical ward, then no one could. Not far from the Kiri team, Team 9 aka Team Guy also received an unexpected arrival, in the form of a still badly injured Hyuga Neji, who slowly limped to where they were sitting. Would it be alright for me to take this seat? Neji asked. Neji, said Guy in surprise. Neji, repeated both Lee and Tenten together in surprise, when they saw their teammate. Neji, what are you doing here? You should be in the medical ward recovering, Tenten said. I am fine, the medics treated most of my injuries, they said I mainly have to take it easy and rest, the male Hyuga replied. After which Tenten and Guy quickly got out of their seat and helped him to an empty set behind Lee. Neji, I think you should return to the medical ward, you need rest, Guy said after he and Tenten helped the Hyuga prodigy to his seat. I will be fine, Guy-sensei, besides this is a match I wish to see, as the medics have been keeping me updated with the rest of the matches while I was in the ward. So you know who left then? Tenten asked, as she and Guy to their seats again. Yes, and I believe this match will not be one to miss and that this Ni Yugito will prove to be a difficult opponent for Naruto-san to fight, Neji said. Naturally, when Guy and the others heard Neji call Naruto by his name, instead of his surname, they were surprised and wondered what could have caused such a sudden change in him. What do you mean by that, Neji-kun? Lee asked. What would you make think that this Ni Yugito would prove to be such a challenge to Naruto-kun? On my way here I overheard two Kumo shinobi talking, who were discussing the upcoming match. From what I heard, Ni Yugito is regarded as one of the strongest shinobi Kumo has produced in years, and is stronger than the female Ranton Storm release user. Wait, she's stronger than that Samui girl, Tenten said, is surprised as she, Guy and Lee had seen her battle with Haku and both of them were not only very skilled but powerful as well. Yes, and from what I've heard, she is already among their most powerful shinobi. They even refer to her as Kumo Jigoku no Neko, Kumo's Hellcat. Clearly the girl has been hiding her true strength, just like that Ranton user girl did, commented Guy. They haven't been the only ones. Near the end of my battle with Naruto-san I sensed that he was holding something back, Neji said. This of course did not surprise the others, since during both Temari's and Neji's battle, Naruto mainly used a handful of techniques and defeated them by tricking them or figuring out their weaknesses. Well, this looks like it will be an interesting match, the Daimyo of Taki no Kuni Waterfall Country said as he looked at the pamphlet with the stats of Naruto, Yugito and the other finalist. Yes, although I still think you a fool for betting on that girl, when the obvious choice would be the Senji, the grass Daimyo said. Although he is obvious choice, you can't say for certain that he will win. I'm expecting something from this Kumo girl, I know I'm right about this, the Waterfall Daimyo said. At this the grass Daimyo laughed. No, in the world of fighting, something always happens, it is unpredictable. After saying this, the grass Daimyo glanced to his bodyguards who just nodded and quickly left. In the cage box. I do hope your son is ready to fight Tsunade-sama, because I can assure you Yugito will not hold back when the battle starts and she has yet to show her true abilities, the Reikage said. At this the slug princess just smirked. I would be more worried about your Kunoichi than my son Reikage-sama. He is more than capable of handling your Kunoichi and anything else she can throw at him, because like her, he has yet to show his true abilities. You got that right. Jiraiya said with a grin, if your girl isn't careful the brat will wipe the floor with her. You seem quite certain of that, the Reikage commented, who despite being certain that Yugito would win, felt a slight twig of concern. I am, said Tsunade with a confident smirk. In fact, I'm so certain of it that I have bet all my winnings on Naru-chan winning not only this fight but the one after it as well. When the others heard this, the Reikage smirked, since this almost assured Yugito's victory over Naruto. As Tsunade's reputation for gambling was legendary, where she had the worst luck in the world and would nearly always lose, which was why they called her the Densetsu no Kamo, the legendary sucker. At the same time, a look of concern appeared on both Jiraiya and the Sandaim's faces. Aheim, don't you think you should take a break from gambling? Since you've already won quite a bit from betting on the kid, Jiraiya said. What are you talking about, Jiraiya? I'm on a streak right now, I haven't lost yet. Yay, and that's my point, remember what happens when you win at gambling, the Toad Sage reminded. Since given the amount Tsunade had won already, Jiraiya half expected the sky to fall on their heads, as Tsunade's luck never failed when she was winning. HMF, this is completely different, I told you when I bet on Naru-chan I never lose, his good luck is stronger than my bad luck, Tsunade replied with scoff. Since she was already counting the money she would win in her head. Yay. Well, let's not tempt fate, okay, Jiraiya pleaded. Tisk, it's too late, I've already placed the beat, Tsunade replied as she showed the ticket to the Toad Sage. Who just sighed and silently prayed to the heavens that something bad wouldn't happen. Well, regardless, I am personally looking forward to this match, as I'm certain it will prove even more entertaining than their other matches, the Mizukage said with a smile. Don't you agree, Kazekage-sama, Hokage-sama? I do indeed, Mizukage-sama, the old Hokage said with a smile. As do I, the Kazekage said, in fact I expect great things from young Senju Naruto. When the Tsunade said this, both the Sandaime Hokage and the two Sannin frowned, since now the Kazekage was showing a keen interest in Naruto and it worried them. With Naruto and Yugito. As the two genin walked down the hall to the stairs that would lead them to the arena floor, they were suddenly confronted by two Kusa Chunin, who were blocking their path. The two shinobi each wore the symbol of their village around their heads and wore matching yellow shirts and strip gray scarves. Hey girl, we want a word with you, said one of the Kusa nins, who wore a pair of dark sunglasses. Narrowing her eyes, the blonde girl just scoffed and said, sorry but I don't have time to talk, as I have a match to get to. After which she tried to move around the two shinobi, but was stopped by the other Kusa shinobi, who stepped in front of her and blocked her path. Despite what you genin think, low-level tournaments like this Chunin exam are only really good for betting, the Kusa shinobi said. And many of the feudal lords and daimyos have come here just for that reason. So what, it's none of our concern. Yugito replied with a frown, as she had already guessed what the two shinobi were trying to do. Actually it does, the Kusa nin replied, since we want you to do something for us. And what's that? It's simple, the Kusa nin with the sunglasses said, with an arrogant smirk, we want you to lose the match. Our Daimyo has bet quite a sum of money on your opponent here winning the match, the other Kusa nin said. When the two blondes heard this they glared angrily at the two foreign shinobi. Screw you, Yugito said angrily. Yay, tell your boss to go fuck himself, we aren't going to let you, him or anyone else dictate our match, Naruto replied. I suggest that you stay out of this punk, in fact you should be thanking us, the Kusa nin wearing sunglasses snapped, since we're making sure that you win. I don't want your help, this is our match and we will fight it fairly, Naruto replied, as he began to channel his chakra to his fists. Agreed. Yugito narrowed her eyes. Hey, these kids just don't get it, Shiba, the sunglass-wearing shinobi said. Maybe we should teach them a lesson in manners, Midori, and show them how they should treat their superiors, the shinobi named Shiba said as he took out a kunai from underneath his vest. Yay, I think you're right, Midori replied with a cocky grin. But before he or his partner could do anything, Naruto slammed the back of his left fist into the side of the wall, creating a massive 5-foot hole in the wall. When Naruto did this, Midori fell to the ground in shock, where his sunglasses fell forward, allowing Naruto to see the shock and scared look in his eyes. At the same time, his partner Shiba found himself unable to do anything, where within the blink of an eye, Yugito disappeared and reappeared behind him, with her now claw-like hand wrapped itself around his neck. Now then, who exactly are our superiors? Yugito asked, with a toothy grin, which showed her fang-like teeth. This of course freaked the two shinobi out, since it made her appearance that more demonic looking, especially with her now bright yellow slitted eyes. I suggest that the two of you push off, before Yugito-chan and I decided to paint the hall with your hides, Naruto said with a dangerous look in his eyes. After which he then began to crack his knuckles in a similar manner that his mother would do. Shit, these brats are monsters. Midori thought with fear, before he took off running, with his partner, who Yugito let go of, following quickly behind him. Once the two Kusa shinobi left, the two blondes smirked at one another. Not bad Yugito-chan, you really scared the crap out of that guy, when you appear behind him looking like that, said a smirking Naruto, before the female blonde returned to her normal state. You're not so bad yourself Naruto, Yugito replied with a smirk of her own. I think that sunglass-wearing guy wet himself when he saw you punch through the wall like that. You think? Yay, I can practically smell the urine, in fact I think he shit himself at the same time, Yugito said as she scrunched up her nose at the stench. Hey, well let's get going, everyone must be getting impatient, Naruto said with a smile, where Yugito just nodded and the two of them made their way down to the arena, laughing and joking over what happened with the two Kusa nins. After waiting a few minutes the two genin walked out into the open arena, where they were greeted with a thunderous cheer from the audience. Slowly the two genin walked towards Genma, who simply nodded to them, after which they walked a few meters away from one another, leaving a large space between them. When they walked far enough away from one another, they turned around to face each other. Once they had stopped and were opposite each other, Genma then spoke, if both of you are now ready, we will begin the first match of round 3. When the two genin nodded, Genma just nodded back and raised his arm up and simply said, go. As he swung his arm down. Despite Genma yelling, go, neither genin moved forward or attempted to draw their katana. Instead they kept the distance and stared at one another few minutes. As the genin continued to stare at one another the tension in the air became apparent to everyone, especially to the audience who were waiting to see who would make the first move. Enter Bento OST 14 I gotta turn it on. After another few minutes of staring at each other, Naruto suddenly spoke, so Yugito-chan, shall we get started? I thought you'd never ask, the blonde girl replied with smirk after which both she and Naruto drew their katana and fell into their individual sword stances. Within moments of doing this, the two genin raced forward at top speed until their katanas clashed with one another. After his katana made contact with Yugito's, Naruto brought his katana back and then spun around to Yugito's unguarded left side. Naruto then attempted an horizontal slash, which Yugito narrowly avoided by spinning around to Naruto's left and made the same attempt on his unguarded side. Catching a glimpse of what Yugito was doing from the corner of his eye, Naruto quickly jumped to his right side. Narrowly escaping the slash and putting some distance between the two, although received a slight cut of his new coat. After evading Yugito's slash, Naruto immediately spun around to face the blonde girl, where he then moved forward to re-engage her. For the next few minutes the two blonde shinobi fought in a fierce battle of steel, with each moving with impressive speed. To the non-shinobi members of the audience, the two blondes were blurs, moving from one end of the field to the next, appearing only for a second to clash swords before disappearing in a blur again. The shinobi members of the audience on the other hand were able to keep up and follow with their movements, where many of them were impressed with the two genin speed and movements. As the fight progressed, Naruto jumped back to avoid another one of Yugito's downward sword slashes. After which he then moved forward and tried to use the Mizu no Atsuen rolling water technique to catch the Kumo Kanoiki off guard 1. But Yugito was prepared for this, as she had watched Naruto's fights in the preliminaries closely and saw him switch his sword from his right hand to his left in mid-swing. Ignoring Naruto's feint swing, Yugito jumped back at the last possible second to avoid the real swing by jumping backwards. After avoiding Naruto's attack, Yugito then moved forward to take advantage of an opening that now appeared after Naruto missed her. But just as she swung her katana down on Naruto, the blonde Senju jumped backwards to avoid the slash and keep some distance between them. He then used the Nagareru Mizu following water technique to pass his katana from his left hand to his right behind his back in an attempt to surprise the girl. But just as he swung his sword, Yugito brought her katana up to block his slash, where she then pushed Naruto back, who then disappeared in a blur, preventing Yugito from striking back at him. Naruto then reappeared behind the female Jinchuriki and tried to slash her from behind, only for him to cut through air when Yugito disappeared in the same manner he did. This continued for several where the two blondes would move around the arena at high speed trying to avoid the other's attack, while trying to slash at the other at the same time. As the fight progressed, some of the audience began to see sparks erupting from the two katana when they clashed with each other. After dodging another one of Naruto's slashes, Yugito picked up several shuriken from the ground that were left there from a previous battle and threw them at Naruto, who was then forced to deflect them with his katana, allowing Yugito to race up to him and use the Kumo-ru Mikizukijiri cloud-style 3 days moon beheading technique. Seeing what Yugito was doing, Naruto was narrowly able to avoid the deadly slash by jumping into the air. But what Naruto didn't know was that this was what Yugito wanted, as he was now open to attack while in midair. She then used the Kumo-ru Omotgiri cloud-style front beheading technique to slash at him. But just as she cut the blonde boy, Naruto reverted into a large wooden log, revealing he had replaced himself using Kawarimi no Jutsu body replacement technique. Realizing that Naruto had tricked her, she then quickly began to scan the arena for any sign of the Senju heir. She of course did not have to wait long as she caught a glimpse of reflective light from the blade of a katana out of the corner of her left eye, where she immediately spun around and narrowly blocked a deadly sword strike from Naruto, who then forced Yugito on the defensive with a series of rapid attacks, forcing her back. Seeing that she was at a disadvantage, Yugito decided to turn the tables on her opponent, where she channeled chakra into her nails on her right hand, turning them into long claws. After which she then went of the offensive and began to force Naruto back, where she blocked one of his strikes with her katana and attempted to slash at his left side with her claws. When Naruto saw this, he acted fast and jumped away, barely avoiding the slash, although received another large slash on the edge of his coat. Knowing he would be at a disadvantage fighting like this, given how Yugito claws were just as strong and as sharp as any kunai, Naruto quickly took out a kunai from his utility belt to help him even up the odds between him and Yugito. For the next 10 minutes the two genin moved around the arena as they fought, each trying to gain some advantage over the other. As the fight continued, Naruto was able to hold his own for a while with his katana and kunai. He had seen how Yugito fought using both her clawed hand and her katana when she fought Sai and knew how she fought. After deflecting one of Yugito's sword stabs with his katana, Naruto threw his kunai at the blonde girl's head, distracting her momentarily as she evaded the kunai. This then allowed Naruto to gain the advantage and start going on the offensive. Not wanting this to happen, Yugito tried to force Naruto on the defensive by swinging her clawed at hand his head. Seeing this, Naruto ducked under the swipe and attempted to cut Yugito's legs from under her with his sword. But before he could finish his swing, Yugito performed a backwards flip to avoid the sword swipe and at the same time kicked Naruto underneath his chin, causing the blonde boy to fall backwards. Recovering quickly, both blondes raced towards one another at top speed and engaged each other in a fierce fury of steel. As they fought, Yugito was able to knock Naruto's katana out of his hand. But for her trouble, she left an opening that Naruto exploited, allowing him to hit her with a strong punch in the stomach, causing her to skid several feet back across the ground and double over slightly in pain from the punch. Wasting no time, Naruto then charged up his right fist with chakra and moved in to deliver the final blow. But just as Naruto was about to hit the blonde Kunoiki, Yugito jumped into the air and performed a perfect mid-air flip over Naruto, avoiding the punch and at the same time kicking the Senju heir in the back of the head, causing him to fall forward. But as he fell forward, Naruto brought his hands up, allowing him to flip back onto his feet. After which he then spun around and threw several shuriken he took out from his utility belt and threw them at Yugito, who had just turned around after landing back on the ground, forcing her move away. Once he had driven Yugito back, Naruto immediately raced over to his katana and picked it up, where he then re-engaged Yugito with his katana. For several more minutes the two blonde sword users fought intensely with one another as they clashed sword, each one given little ground to the other. But after one final clash of swords, the two blondes broke apart and jumped back from one another to assess the damage done and what to do next. End Bento OST 14. I gotta turn it on. In the audience. So strong, Hinata muttered when she saw how fiercely Naruto and Yugito were fighting. Agreed, commented Yamato. Man, neither of them is playing around, said Kiba. Trust me, you haven't seen anything yet, Kushina said with a knowing smile. Wait, are you saying that aren't being serious? Ino asked. Oh, they are being serious, they're just not giving it their all. Right now they're just feeling each other out, testing their speed and reaction time. But the real fight will begin soon. Not far from where Kushina and the others were sitting, Killer Bee and his students were also discussing the match. Naruto sure has come a long way when it comes to using a sword. There was a time when he couldn't even last 30 seconds against Yugito. But look at him now. Omoi said as he, Killer Bee and Samui watched the fight. Yes, said Samui as she looked down at Naruto and Yugito. Jagga Jack, this ain't no joke, this battle will kick and heal ass, oh yeah. Commented Killer Bee. Hey Samui, is it just me or is Yugito smiling? Omoi asked as he stared at his female teammate. She is, Samui replied as looked at her fellow blonde. Although I can't say I'm surprised, you know how much Yugito has wanted a rematch with Naruto. This is the battle she has been waiting and training for ever since Naruto first fought her. You're right, Omoi said as he nodded, since Yugito had been training hard for the past 2 years, also that she could become stronger and defeat Naruto should they ever fight again. In the arena. Down in the arena the two blonde genin continued to stare at one another, waiting to see who would make the next move. After a few minutes Naruto suddenly spoke, Hey Yugito-chan, how about we take things up a notch? Fine by me, just don't blame me when things get too hot for you to handle, the blonde female replied with a confident smirk, which Naruto returned before taking out another kunai. Enter Naruto Shippuden OST 2 Sunspot. After a few moments the two genin once again raced towards one another at top speed. After clashing blades for a brief moment, the two genin reappeared at opposite ends of the arena. After reappearing the two genin quickly spun around to face one another where Naruto threw his kunai at Yugito, who took a kunai out from her pouch and threw it, hitting Naruto's projectile dead on and deflecting it. But as soon as this happened Naruto appeared above the Kumo Kanoiki and attempted a downward slash, which she barely blocked. For the next few minutes the audience watched as the two young shinobi raced around the arena with tremendous speed, fighting furiously in the hope of gaining the upper hand. Eventually though Naruto gained the advantage by blocking one of Yugito's sword strikes and pushing her away to the other end of the arena, causing her to drop her katana. But before he could pursue his advantage, Yugito performed several high-speed hand seals and yelled, Kaiten, Okibi, fire style, blazing fire. And spat out a large stream of red-hot flames. Crap, Naruto thought when he saw the large fire stream flying towards him. Wasting no time Naruto quickly turned his sword sideways and started spinning around and gathering the water left over from Samui's and Haku's battle. 1. Within seconds a large spinning waterspout erupted around Naruto, shielding him from Yugito's fire attack and creating a large cloud of steam around Naruto as the hot flames hit the cold water. After losing sight of Naruto in the steam cloud, Yugito halted her attack and waited for the steam to disperse. But just as the steam began to fade, a large crescent-shaped blade of wind erupted from the steam and flew towards her. Acting quickly Yugito jumped to her right side avoiding the deadly wind attack which hit the arena wall behind her and left a large slash mark. But as soon as she evaded the attack, she was forced to move again as several kunai flew towards her. With no time to waste Yugito jumped back to avoid them, but when they hit the ground she noticed that they had exploding notes tied to them, which exploded soon after. After barely avoiding the explosion and being left slightly singed, Yugito began to search the arena for Naruto, where half of it was still covered in steam. She of course did not have to wait very long as the steam began to dissipate further and Naruto soon appeared out of the cloud with his katana in hand and attempted to stab her with it. Seeing this, Yugito skillfully sidestepped the blonde boy's attack and then hit him in the back of the head with a reverse heel kick, in the hope of knocking him out. But as soon as Naruto hit the ground, he exploded into a puff of smoke, revealing him to be a Cage Bunshin shadow clone. When the blonde girl saw this, she quickly turned back to the steam cloud, which had fully dissipated, and saw the real Naruto, who was busy preforming a long series of hand seals and gather all the remaining water in the arena. Realizing that Naruto was preparing a large-scale water technique, given the long series of hand seals he was doing and the amount of water he was gathering, Yugito began to preform her own series on hand seals to counter Naruto's technique. At roughly the same time both genin finished their set of hand seals and performed their individual attacks. Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu, water style, water dragon bullet technique. Naruto yelled as large dragon made out of the water from around the arena formed over him and flew towards Yugito. At the same time Yugito finished her hand seals and thought Kaiten, Hatora, fire style, fire tiger. B and spat out another long stream of fire, which took the shape of a tiger's head. Within seconds the two powerful attacks collided with one another and caused a massive explosion, where both attacks were negated. End Naruto Shippuden OST 2 Sunspot. After the explosion, the entire arena quickly became filled with steam, blocking the audience view of the battle. The heat of the flames had been so intense that it had converted Naruto's water dragon into steam. In the finalist box. Man, this is such a drag, those two blondes really are troublesome, muttered Shikamaru, as he moved back from the railings as he could feel the intense heat of superheated steam from his position. Like Shikamaru, many of the other occupants in the finalist box did the same, as like him they could feel intense heat of the steam as it rose up. Others, however, like Gaara and Sasuke, ignored the discomfort of the heat and continued stare into the massive steam cloud, hoping to see any sign of the two blondes. Where are they? Sasuke thought where he activated his Sharingan to try and find Yugito and Naruto, but for some strange reason could see no sign of them. In the audience. Unreal, are these two really just genin? Izumo asked in shock at seeing two genin each performing high-level B-rank jutsu. At the very least, in terms of fighting ability they're Chunin level, Kotetsu commented given what they had seen. At the same time, he began to wonder how Naruto and Yugito have the reserves to use jutsu of those levels. Shit, not again, first mist, then dust, now steam, how many times do they have to cover the field, we're missing all the action, Kiba complained. Who was really getting into this battle and wanted to see Naruto kick Yugito butt, given how Yugito was the one who defeated him? Neji, can you see them? What's happening? Tenten asked when she turned to her teammate, who now had his Byakugan activated in an attempt to see what was happening in the massive steam cloud. Unfortunately I cannot see them, the Hyuga boy replied. They could not have simply disappeared, said Lee. Are you sure the steam is not preventing you from seeing them? No, answered Neji, I can see through the steam perfectly, I simply cannot see them. Does that mean that they are? Said Tenten, but before she could finish she suddenly heard the sound of metal clashing. After hearing this, her sensei Guy suddenly said, look over there. While pointing straight ahead. When Tenten and the rest of the others looked in the direction that Guy was pointing, they saw both Naruto and Yugito, swords in hand, battling with one another on top of the arena wall directly opposite the stands, above the arena the steam cloud. Where did they come from? Joji asked in surprise after his sensei Asuma pointed them to him and the others. They must have moved out of the arena just before their attacks hit, knowing what would happen, commented Anko. But what are they doing up there? Ino asked. Probably because it was the safest place to be until the steam cooled down, Kushina replied, while watching Naruto fight with Yugito on the arena wall. Agreed, if they hadn't, more than likely they would have been killed if not badly burned by the superheated steam, Kurenai added as she and everyone watched the two blondes fight. In the arena. After appearing on top of the arena wall, Yugito and Naruto continued their sword battle. For the first few minutes the two genin fought furiously trying to push the other back. But neither one gave much ground, proving that they were evenly matched with one another. As the fight dragged on, Naruto ducked under one of Yugito's slashes and made a swipe at her legs with his katana in an attempt to cut one of her legs. But missed when she jumped backwards, forcing Naruto to pursue after her where he made another slash at her. Seeing the slash, Yugito quickly brought her katana up and blocked Naruto's attack and pushed the young Senju back, thus allowing her to go on the offensive, where she made a stabbing motion at Naruto with her blade. Only to have it be deflected by the blonde boy, who then made another slash at the female Jinchuriki, forcing her move back and allowing Naruto to go on the offensive again. This went on for several minutes, going back and forth between the two, where each time one would have the advantage. The other would do something that would put the fight back in their favor. Eventually the fight turned in Naruto's favor again, where he saw an opening and delivered a sharp knee kick to her side, catching the blonde girl off guard and damaging one of her ribs, forcing her to move back. Not wanting to let the initiative go, Naruto tried to stab Yugito in the arm with a one-handed sword thrust, but missed as the female blonde sidestepped the stab. He then tried a side slash, but Yuchio evaded that as well by jumping to the left side near the edge of the wall. Seeing that Yugito had run out space to move, Naruto turned and attempted a downward slash on Yugito's head. But before his attack could hit, Yugito brought her katana up and blocked his slash, where she then took a step forward and pushed him back, breaking his stance, leaving him open to attack. But just as Yugito moved in to deliver the final blow, Naruto used the Nagareru Mizu technique to switch his sword from his right hand to his left, at high speed behind his back. Catching the blonde girl off guard where she tried to move out of the way of the blade but was slashed on her right arm and forced to move away from Naruto. Shit. That was too close, Yugito thought as she held her bleeding arm. If I had been any slower, I might have lost my arm. Before Yugito could ponder any longer on her injury, Naruto moved forward hoping to end the match while Yugito was injured and distracted. But before he could reach the blonde Kunoiki, she jumped up into the air and down into the arena, disappearing into the steam that covered the arena. Wasting no time, Naruto quickly followed after Yugito into the steam cloud, which had cooled down enough so that it was tolerable. After landing back on the ground, Naruto immediately began to gather his chakra and then touched the ground with his two front fingers before using his chakra no Parasu chakra pulse technique to find Yugito. 2. Once he located the blonde Kumo Nin's position, he began to plan his next move. After Yugito had bandaged up her wound with some cloth that she tore from her sleeve, she immediately began to assess her situation. This is just like when I fought the Kirigenin Chojuro earlier, when he used Kirigaku no Jutsu, hidden mist technique, Yugito thought as she looked around her surroundings. Before a small smirk appeared on her face as she realized that she could use the same trick she used to defeat Chojuro. After creating the lightning clone, Yugito had the clone search for Naruto while she hid in the steam and waited for him to attack. She did not have to wait for very long as Naruto soon appeared from the steam, racing towards the lightning clone with impressive speed, where he then used the Tachiyoyogi treading water technique to impale the lightning clone with his sword. After Naruto stabbed the lightning clone, the clone quickly reverted into lightning, which traveled down Naruto's sword and into Naruto, electrocuting him. Taking advantage of the situation, Yugito immediately appeared out from her hiding spot in the steam and slashed at Naruto in the back. But as soon as she lashed the Senju air with her katana, he exploded into a puff of smoke, revealing he had been a shadow clone. Fuck. Yugito thought after realizing that she had been tricked by Naruto again, where before she could even start looking for him, he bust out of the ground underneath her. Shit. Yugito thought when she saw Naruto burst out of the ground, swung his katana at her. Thanks to her quick cat-like reactions, Yugito was able to jump back and evade a lethal slash from the sword. Although fell to the ground after tripping over a piece of overturned earth and landed on her rear and dropped her katana. After landing on the ground, the blonde Kunoiki immediately tried to pick herself up. But before she could get back onto her feet, she found the tip of a blade pointed at her face and a smirking Naruto looking down at her. Although this smirk quickly faded and turned to a look of dumb confusion and surprise, followed by Naruto's face turning bright red. Confused by the way Naruto was acting and why he wasn't finishing her off, Yugito lowered her eyes to see what Naruto was looking at. When she looked down at herself, she saw that Naruto's sword had cut her, and although she received no injury, there was a large diagonal slash on her blouse exposing her right breast slightly. When Yugito saw this, like Naruto, she turned as bright red and quickly covered her chest with her arms and cried Kya. From embarrassment and shame. Both genin were of course grateful that the steam blocked the audience view of the battle. Naruto because he knew his mother would go berserk if she saw what just happened, while his godfather would never let him live it down, and Yugito because she would probably die from the humiliation. I'm sorry, an embarrassed Naruto said quickly as he lowered his katana from Yugito and started waving his arms in denial. I didn't mean to stare, I swear, it was just that I was caught off guard and don't worry, I am a medic, so it's not like I don't know all about them. Oh no, not like that, I mean, it's just that I've studied them, not yours, I mean, I've studied from books, and not that there is anything wrong with yours. But Naruto of course would have continued and tried to explain himself, but he knew from all the times watching his mother beat the crap out of Jiraiya for his perverted behavior, that he was just digging his own grave further. Given how he was too embarrassed to think straight and to form coherent sentences. Once Naruto stopped talking, he soon saw a dark red murderous aura form around her, one that strangely reminded him of the time when he first met and fought Yugito back when she used her Bijuu's power. Slowly the blonde Kunoiki got back onto her feet, where she kept her head down, preventing Naruto from seeing her face, and lowered her right arm, while keeping her torn top covered with her left arm. After she was back on her feet, the girl lifted her head and glared murderously at the Senju air. who took a step back in concern and gulped, while silently thanking the heavens that Yugito didn't have her sword in her hand right now. Naruto, Yugito said slowly in a cold, angry voice before raising her right fist and smashing it into Naruto's face and yelling, "You jerk," as she hit him. But as soon as her fist hit Naruto, he turned into a wooden log, which then shattered into 1,000 pieces from Yugito's punch, revealing that Naruto had replaced himself at the last possible second. When Yugito saw that Naruto had replaced himself, she quickly started to look around for any sign of him, but could find none, after which she then yelled, "Naruto, you bastard. Come out here and fight me. Take your beating like a man." He. Oh come on kitten, don't be like that, it's not like he meant to do that, although if you ask me you should happy, said the nibby. Happy? Yugito roared inside her mind, why the hell should I be happy? If this steam hadn't been covering the arena, the entire audience would have seen what happened and I would be the laughingstock of both Konoha and Kumo. You should be happy because of the reaction you got out of him, the nibby replied. Given how he froze and got all embarrassed like that, it's obvious that he find you attractive, which increases your chances. Not to mention it puts you ahead of all those other girls who are after him, since I don't think he has seen any of their assets. After the nibby said this, the cat Biju spent the next 10 minutes listening to the angry yells of her host denying that she thought of Naruto that way, and stating how he would be lucky to still be alive once she was done with him. She also started to wish that she had been sealed with the Hachibi instead of Nibby, given how her sensei and Nibby were more alike with the perverted behaviors. At the same time, hiding behind a large tree in the steamer, worried Naruto let out a tired sigh. Ah man, I think it might be best if I left her alone, at least until the steam fades away. Maybe by then she might have cooled off, but then again knowing my luck, she might get even more pissed at me. After finishing arguing with her Biju, Yugito started to take deep breaths since she would have to calm down. Once she had calmed down, she took out some ninja wire and used it to stitch her blouse up. By the time she was finished and had picked her katana up from the ground, the steam had finally dissipated, revealing the arena to both her and the audience above. At the same time, Naruto slowly walked out from behind the tree he had been hiding behind and readied himself for any attack the blonde girl would make. In the audience finalist box. About time, said Kiba after the steam faded away and Naruto and Yugito became visible. Hey, is it just me or does that blonde girl seem angry at Naruto? Shikamaru asked, since after all the times he had seen his mother yell at him or his father, he had gained a sort of instinct for angry women. You're right, hey, looks like Senju said or did something to piss Yugito off, Karui said, who was standing near Shikamaru when he asked this, and could not help but smirk in amusement, knowing Naruto was in trouble. No. In the arena, after waiting for several minutes for Yugito to attack, Naruto decided to make the first move, and conjured 10 shadow clones and had them surround Yugito and attack her from all directions. As the clones surrounded her, Yugito readied her sword, and channeled her chakra along with her fire affinity into it, igniting the katana and turning it into a flaming blade. She then used her flaming sword to dispatch 2 of the clones that came at her. After which she then swung her katana in a large wide arc and yelled, Kumo Ru Kangiri, cloud-style flame beheading, creating a large flaming circle of fire around her, destroying the remaining clones in one go. Once the clones were all gone, the flames on Yugito's katana died out and she sheathed her katana. After which she did several hand seals thought, Rankadama, flaming hairball, before spitting out several flaming hairballs. Remembering how Yugito defeated Chojuro, Naruto knew that simply extinguishing the flames would not stop the hairballs and decided the best course of action would be to evade them. After dodging the flaming hairballs, Naruto found himself immediately under attack again, where Yugito appeared in front of him with her katana redrawn. She then tried a horizontal slash, which would have severed Naruto's head had he not ducked under the slashed. After evading the slash, Naruto punched the ground with his left fist while using his superhuman strength, causing the ground around Naruto to explode from the shockwave and blow Yugito back. Once some distance had been put between the two of them, Naruto quickly used Doton, Cage Bunshin Earth style, Shadow Clone, to create 4 Earth clones, and had him attack the female blonde, who had just recovered from being blown back. Wasting no time, the clones quickly moved towards the Kumo Kanoiki, where the first 2 head straight for her, while the other 2 circled around her. The first Earth clone made the first move by throwing several shuriken at her, which she skillfully deflected with her katana, before having to defend herself with it from the second Earth clone, who slashed at her with its katana. After blocking the slash, Yugito then had her fingernails, in her left hand, take their claw form and stab the clone in the side, causing it to revert into mud. After which she then raced forward to attack the first Earth clone. But as she did, the two other Earth clones that had moved around her came up behind her and prepared to attack from behind. Aware of the two clones, Yugito pretended to not have noticed them and prepared to strike the first Earth clone. But at the last possible second she used Kumo-ru Uragiri cloud-style reverse beheading technique to sever the heads of the two clones, catching them off guard and causing them to turn mud. After dealing the two clones, Yugito quickly jumped back to avoid a deadly kunai stab from the last remaining Earth clone, who she was standing in front of. But as soon as her feet touched the ground, a large Earth spike appeared in front of her and nearly impaled her. It was only thanks to her quick reactions, which she had developed from the special training the Reikage had put her through when she was young, that she was able to replace herself in time with Naruto's the last remaining Earth clone. After evading the Earth spike, Yugito looked over at Naruto, who had both his hands on his ground. It of course did not take a genius to figure that Naruto had used the Earth clones as a distraction and waited until she was vulnerable to use Doton, Doryuso, Earth style, Earth flow spears. Hey, all right then Naruto, if that's how you want to play it. Let's see how you handle this, the blonde girl thought before she stabbed her katana into the ground. After which she performed 4 quick hand seals and thought Kaiten, Okibi, and spat out a large stream of red-hot fire from her mouth. Fuck, Naruto thought when he saw the large stream of flames flying toward him. Knowing that he couldn't avoid the fire attack in time, and that he would have to block it, and there was only one technique he knew that he could use to block Yugito's attack in time. Enter Naruto Shippuden OST 2 Rising Dragon. Acting fast, Naruto quickly created a shadow clone and had it start doing hand seals, while he flipped his katana backwards and started to spin around, drawing the water from the air and the surrounding plants. Given to how all the water from Haku and Simui's battle had evaporated when Naruto's water dragon and Yugito fire tiger clashed. As soon as Naruto began to spin, a large amount of water started to appear around him and the clone. In the cage box. Impossible, said the Reikage as he stood up from his seat in shock after seeing water appear out nowhere and form into a massive spinning waterspout around Naruto and his clone, protecting them from Yugito's fire attack. Don't tell me he's drawing all that from the air. It's not just from the air, he's also drawing it from the nearby trees and plants, the Kazekage said. Who then pointed to the grass and the nearby trees which were drying up as Naruto drew water from them. Incredible, muttered the Mizukage in disbelief at Naruto being able to do something like this, especially at his age. Has he somehow inherited the high water affinity of his ancestor the Nadaime Hokage? The Mizukage of course knew a great deal about the famed Hokage whose skill in water manipulation was second to none, even to this very day. This was of course an embarrassing subject for Kirigako Hidden Mist given how her village specialized in Suten Ninjutsu. The closest anyone in her village ever came to the Nadaime Hokage skill level in Suten Ninjutsu was the famed swordsman Hoshigaki Kisame, who later became Kiri's most infamous and feared Nuke Nin. This kid, thought a surprised Darui, who had a serious look on his face, which was highly unusual for him. Dara boy kid, show them just what you're made out of, Jiraiya thought with a smile and was joined by both Tsunade and Sandaime who were also smiling. In the audience. But how? Muttered a shocked Zabuza, who like most shinobi couldn't believe what he was seeing. His water skill is even greater than mine, maybe even Haku's, Saito thought as he turned to look his teammate who had stunned looks on their faces. At the same time the members of the Rookie 9 who were sitting in the front seats of the stands looked on at Naruto with surprised looks. Not believing what they were seeing Naruto doing. Their attention although was soon diverted when they suddenly heard a nearby voice yell out. That's the way Naruto, that's my student. Kushina-senpai please calm down, Yamato pleaded as he tried to calm the redhead down. And what's wrong with me cheering for my student? You should be cheering with me, since he's your student as well, retorted the former Anbu captain with some annoyance, when she turned to look at her former subordinate. There's nothing wrong with cheering for him Kushina-senpai, it's just that you don't need to make a spectacle of yourself, that all, the man answered quickly, knowing Kushina temperament. while at the same time glancing around him where he could see several people starting to stare at them. Huffing at the stares, Kushina just turned back around to watch Naruto's battle and once again started to cheer for her blonde-haired student. In the arena, when Yugito saw Naruto create the large spinning water spout out of nowhere, the blonde Kunoichi was caught completely off guard and soon cancelled her attack, realizing that her attack was worthless. It's not possible, Yugito yelled inside her head when she saw the massive water sprouts around the boy and his clone. Naruto is able to conjure that much water from just the air and the surrounding plants. After Yugito ended her attack, Naruto stopped spinning, causing the water spout to fall. But before the water could hit the ground, Naruto's clone finished its hand seals and yelled out Tsuten, Suiruden no Jutsu, causing the water to form into a massive water dragon which then charged straight at her. With no time to spare, Yugito quickly tried to avoid the powerful water attack. She ever tried running up the arena wall by channeling her chakra to her feet to keep from falling. But no matter where she ran to, the dragon continued to follow after her, thanks to Naruto's clone control it. Realizing that she would never lose the water dragon, Yugito quickly took out 3 kunai with exploding notes tied to them and threw them at the creature, destroying it once the notes exploded. Damn, these two are something else, the match referee Genma thought, who had just reappeared in the arena, after being forced to move out when Naruto created the water dragon. Looking around, Genma saw that the entire arena was filled with inch of water after Yugito destroyed Naruto's water dragon. They've completely changed the state of the arena. After the water dragon was destroyed, Naruto clone immediately spat out several balls of water and fired them at Yugito, who was still on the wall. Seeing the blobs of water flying towards her, Yugito went through several quick hand seals and spat out several flaming hairballs, which hit the water balls dead on, cancelling each other out. But like in her battle with Chojuro, the extinguished hairballs continue to fly towards the Naruto's clone and hit it dead on, causing the clone to disappear. Once the clone had been dealt with, Yugito was forced to jump away from her position as Naruto used his Sarasu Fu wind slash technique to fire a crescent blade of wind at her. After dodging Naruto's wind attack, Yugito wasted no time in going back on the offensive and unleashed a volley of shuriken. At the same time, she spewed out a stream of fire, covering the spinning projectiles in flames, increasing the destructive power. When Naruto saw the flaming projectiles, he quickly used the Mizu no Josho rising water technique to create several waves of water in front of him, which extinguished the fire that covered the shuriken. The water also slowed the shuriken down enough so he could deflect them away without any harm. But as soon as Naruto had deflected the flaming shuriken, he was forced to jump back to avoid a powerful downward slash from Yugito, who appeared above him. Not wanting to give Naruto any chance to fight back, the blonde girl chased after the Senju heir with the intent on ending their battle. Acting fast, Naruto dipped the tip of his katana into the water and created another large wave of water in front of him and yelled, Mizu no Kagaiku, glittering water. Undeterred by the wall of water, Yugito moved forward and stabbed her katana through it and into Naruto's left shoulder. But as soon as she did this, the wall of water fell and Naruto faded away, revealing that he was a reflective image created by the water. Realizing she had been tricked, the blonde Kunoichi quickly turned to her right and caught a glimpse of Naruto speeding towards him at high speed. Within moments, Naruto was right in front of his female opponent and used the Mizu no Atsuen to switch his katana from his right hand to his left in mid-swing, catching Yugito unaware, who had brought her sword up to defend herself against the fake slash. It was only thanks to the fact that she had used her claw creation technique to increase the durability and length of her nails, that she was able to block Naruto's real sword slash with her long nails. But before she could make any move against the blonde boy, Naruto pulled his sword back and used Nagareru Mizu to pass his sword from his left hand to his right hand behind his back, catching Yugito off guard again and sending her skidding back several feet. Luckily for the blonde Kumo Kunoichi, Naruto had turned his katana around at the last second, so that the back of his blade hit Yugito left side, saving her from receiving a possible mortal injury. But even though the blow wasn't fatal, it had still been serious, as the hit had cracked one of her ribs right side. Seeing that he had the advantage in the fight, Naruto decided to try to finish the fight once and for all by using one of the new techniques Kushina taught him the previous month. Dipping the tip of his sword into the inch of water and gathering it around the blade, Naruto swung his sword at Yugito and yelled, Bunkatsu Mizu, splitting water. creating a large crescent-shaped blade of water that moved with incredible speed. 3. Fuck! Cried Yugito when she saw the deadly blade of water flying towards her and narrowly avoided the attack by jumping sideways. Although received a large cut on her left arm which was bleeding badly. With little time to contemplate her injury, Yugito was forced on the move again as Naruto used the Mizurapa wild water wave technique, spit out a large wave of water from his mouth, forcing her to jump onto the side of the arena wall. Seeing that Yugito avoided his attack, Naruto preformed several more hand seal and used the Teppadama gunshot technique to fire an unrelenting barrage of water blasts from his mouth, forcing Yugito to race around the arena wall to keep from being hit. This of course did not last very long, as Yugito soon struck back by throwing several kunai, with the some exploding notes tied to them, at Naruto, forcing the blonde boy to halt his attack and jump away. After the notes exploded, a large shower of water covered the arena, blocking Yugito and the audience view of Naruto. But once it died down, they caught sight of the spiky-haired blonde again, who was busy preforming a long series of hand seals and gather all the surround water around him. Recognizing the hand set, Yugito began performing her own series of hand seals. At the exact same time both genin unleashed their jutsu. Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu. Roared Naruto as large dragon made out of the water formed around him and flew towards Yugito. Kaiten, Hatora, thought Yugito before spitting out a long stream of fire, which took the shape of a tiger's head and headed straight for Naruto's water dragon. Within seconds the two massive attacks collide and like earlier on, they cancelled each other out in a large explosion, creating another massive cloud of red-hot steam that covered the entire arena. End Naruto Shippuden OST 2 Rising Dragon. In the audience. This is nuts, both these kids aren't normal, muttered Kotetsu in surprise, while his partner Izumo just nodded, who was too shocked to say anything. Now this is more like it, Anko said with a grin, as she was loving every minute of this battle and was glad she got the front seats for the finals. Damn, and I thought the preliminaries were out of hand, Asuma commented after Yugito's and Naruto's attacks collided. Both of them are well beyond the skill of genin, in fact they are stronger than most chunin, Kurenai remarked. Who was surprised that there was yet another genin in the exam who go toe-to-toe with Naruto, ignoring the fact that she was also a Jinchuriki, like Naruto. In the arena, after the large steam cloud began to form, Yugito quickly made her way up to the top of the arena wall, where she would be safe from the boiling steam. Once she reached the top she looked around for any sign of Naruto but could find none. Figuring that she was safe for the moment, Yugito decided to dress her injuries, where she took out a small roll of bandages and used it to dress the wound on her arm. Once her arm was bandaged up, Yugito then patiently waited for the steam to cool down and fade away. Knowing that Naruto was down there somewhere and it would be foolish if she jumped in there without knowing his location. After some time the steam eventually cooled down and faded, allowing Yugito and everyone else the arena. When Yugito and the audience looked down they saw that the arena was in a sorry state filled with discarded shuriken, kunai as well as holes, craters, upheaved dirt from all the previous battles. The lower part of the arena wall was in no better shape, with several large holes and dents. The only thing missing was the water that had filled the arena not long ago, which had all dried up in Naruto and Yugito's last attack. As Yugito scanned the arena she noticed a small dome of earth standing in the exact position she last saw Naruto in. So that's what happened to him, Yugito thought. Naruto must have created that earth dome around him to protect himself from the steam after our attacks collided. Smart, but the problem with that plan is that he can't see when it's safe to come out and he's now vulnerable to attack, and if I do this right I can end this now. Taking out two kunai and tying her last two remaining exploding notes to them, Yugito channeled her lightning chakra into the kunai and threw them at the earth dome. Within seconds the lightning-enhanced kunai flew through the air and pierced right through the earth dome. After which the exploding notes tied to them exploded, destroying the dome and everything it. As soon as the dome exploded, Yugito quickly made her way down the arena wall and down into the arena to see if she had really gotten Naruto. At the same time the match referee Genma appeared after he was forced again to Shunshin body flicker out of the arena when Naruto and Yugito's attacks collided. When the smoke from the explosion cleared, Yugito cautiously walked over to the destroyed dome with her katana ready. Unsure of Naruto's current condition, since she knew how tricky Naruto could be, given the number of times the Senju heir had fooled her. Once she reached the site, she saw Naruto lying face first in the ground, motionless, his clothes torn up and dirty and his body covered in burns. But just as the blonde Kunoichi went to check the boy's pulse, Naruto reverted into a mud, revealing him to be an Earth clone. When Yugito realized that Naruto had tricked her again, the blonde girl quickly spun around and saw the real Naruto erupt out of the ground, on the opposite end of the arena. He then swung his sword down and yelled, Adana Sarasu Fu Great Wind Slash, where a large crescent-shaped blade of wind erupted from his katana and flew straight for her. When Yugito saw the deadly wind attack heading towards her, she immediately jumped to her right to avoid the attack. But as soon as she did, she was put on the defensive by Naruto, who appeared in front of her and tried to slash her, forcing her to use her katana to defend herself. For the next minute or so, a battle for dominance ensued between the two young genin, each trying to force the other back. Eventually Naruto showed signs of winning thanks to his superior strength and the cracked rib that Yugito received earlier. Seeing that she was being pushed back, Yugito had her left hand let go of her sword, and used her claw creation technique to turn her nails into long claws, and attempted to scratch Naruto's face, who quickly jumped back to avoid the razor-sharp nails and went on the defensive when Yugito attacked. For the next few minutes the two blondes fought intensely, where for the majority of the fight Naruto was on the defensive, who struggled to hold his own thanks to Yugito claws giving her an extra weapon to use against him. It was made even more difficult since Yugito proved quite skilled in using her katana and clawed hand in conjunction, leaving Naruto little opportunity to fight back. Shit, this is not good, at this rate she'll hit me, Naruto thought as he barely deflected a sword stab from Yugito with his katana. Looks like I'm going have to put what Kushina-sensei taught me to the test. After sidestepping another claw swipe from Yugito, Naruto quickly dragged his sword onto the ground and set some dirt flying into Yugito's eyes, blinding her momentarily and forcing her to halt her attacks. With Yugito blinded, Naruto then kicked the blonde girl in the stomach, sending her flying back a few feet and allowing him to move back further, increasing the distance between them. As Yugito rubbed the dirt out of her eyes, she looked back at Naruto and saw him lower his guard and taking deep calming breaths. Unsure what Naruto was up to, Yugito decided to try finishing the match before the blonde boy could do anything. As she moved forward, Yugito made a horizontal slash at Naruto, but before the blade could cut Naruto, the blonde boy coolly sidestepped the slash. When Yugito saw this, she then tried downward slash with her claw hand, but like before, Naruto evaded the slash with ease. This continued for several minutes, where Yugito continued to try and slash Naruto with a series of relentless assaults. But each and every one of her attacks was easily avoided by the Senju heir, as if he knew they were coming. In the audience, damn, just a few minutes ago Naruto could barely hold that Yugito chick off. But now he's dodging all her attacks like they were nothing, how the hell is he doing it? Asked Kiba, who was amazed by how easily Naruto was dodging Yugito's slashes, especially since he could barely keep up with her movements. He's using a special technique from the Arasuijin no Mai dance of the Raging Water Goddess sword style, am I right, Kushina? Asuma asked as he recognized the technique Naruto was using. Yay, it's called Namiutsu Mizu, rippling water, the red-haired woman replied. What does it do? Ino asked, who was curious like all the other members of the Rookie 9. It's the fourth defensive technique of Arasuijin no Mai style. It involves the user avoiding an enemy's attacks by synchronizing with their breathing and following their movements, allowing the user to predict an enemy's movements before they make it. It's extremely useful when you want to wear down an enemy or to make them waste energy. That's all. Kiba asked in confusion since it didn't really sound very difficult. Trust me, it's a lot more complicated than it sounds. A person needs to be perfectly calm and focused so to keep in sync with their opponent's breathing and watch their movements carefully. It is an extremely difficult technique to use, and even more difficult to master, and if the person makes one wrong move or falls out of sync, it could be fatal, Kushina replied with a serious look on her face as she continued to watch Naruto evade Yugito's attacks. It's incredible that he has progressed this far in using your fighting style, Kurenai commented, who was impressed with Naruto's growing skill. Yay, even I've got to admit that Naruto has come a long way in a short time, Kushina remarked. When I first started training him in the Arasuijin no Mai style, I never dreamed that he would learn to use it so well in just over 6 months, especially since it took me 2 years to create it and use it. Although he still has a way to before he has fully mastered all of them yet. In the arena. As the fight in the arena continued, Naruto proceeded to evade all of Yugito's attacks, much to the girl's frustration. Every time she tried to catch Naruto off guard as if he knew what was coming. Even when she attempted a hidden knee kick to the side, Naruto somehow knew what she was going to do and took a step back to avoid it. Damn it, what the hell is going on? How is Naruto avoiding all my attacks? It's as if he's reading my mind and knows what I'm going to do right before I do it. Calm down, kitten, getting yourself worked up only makes things worse, and that's probably what he is hoping you'll do, as you're more likely to make a mistake, said the Nibi inside Yugito's mind. Look at his eyes, they're calm and focus, and his moves are mimicking your own. He must be using some kind of technique to match your movements and predict what you're going to do and dodging them at the last moment, making you waste energy and frustrating you. Then what do you suggest? The blonde girl asked, as she made another slashing motion with her katana. Do something he won't expect, make him think he knows what you're going to do, then do something that will catch him off guard. How do I do that? The girl replied, while at the same time watching Naruto sidestep her sword slash. It was then when Naruto moved out of the way of her sword slash that an idea suddenly popped into her head. Wasting no time, the blonde Kumo Kanoiki brought her clawed hand forward and made a slashing motion at the right side of his face. When Naruto began to move out of the way of the slash, Yugito channeled more chakra into her nails, causing them to grow longer. Unaware of the claw's increased length, Naruto could not fully evade the claws and received a light scratch on his right cheek. This was of course all that Yugito needed, as the scratch caught Naruto completely off guard and his breathing fell out of sync with Yugito's, who took advantage of Naruto's distraction and delivered a sharp knee kick to Naruto's left side, causing the boy to stumble slightly. But just as the blonde Kanoiki was about to deliver the final blow with her katana, Naruto jumped back and narrowly avoided the sword slash. In the audience, Naruto-kun, thought Hinata in concern when she saw the blonde boy struggling to hold Yugito off as she unleashed a series of relentless attacks on him. What happened? Sakura asked in surprise. A moment ago she couldn't even touch Naruto, now he can barely hold her off. Like I said earlier, the Namiatsu Mizu is a difficult technique to use, and even more difficult to master. Naruto may be able to use it, but he hasn't mastered it yet and needs more training in using it, since all you have to do is wound him slightly to make his breathing fall out of sync, Kushina explained. To use Namiatsu Mizu, the user must synchronize his or her breathing with their opponent. When that Yugito girl scratched him, Naruto was caught by surprise, causing his breathing to fall out of sync and distracting him so that he could no longer be able to predict or keep up with her movements, allowing her to catch him unaware. If Naruto had mastered the Namiatsu Mizu technique fully, he would not fall out of sync so easily. She must have gotten a luckily hit in when the brat tried to avoid that swipe, Anko commented. Luck had nothing to do with it, Kakashi said suddenly as he narrowed his one visible eye slightly. When Naruto sidestepped to avoid her claw swipe, she channeled her chakra into her nails, increasing their length at the last second, causing Naruto to misjudge their reach and allowing her to scratch him, which resulted in Naruto's breathing to fall out of sync with hers. It's actually quite clever. After Kakashi finished, Kushina narrowed her eyes and watched Naruto struggle to defend himself from Yugito's attacks. She of course agreed with Kakashi's assessment with what happened, and as much as she hated to admit it, she had to hand it to Yugito for her quick thinking and had to admit that the Kumo Kanoiki was much craftier than she gave her credit for. In the arena, after blocking another slash from Yugito's sword with his own, Naruto saw the girl bring up her clawed hand in an attempt to slash him with her deadly nails. Acting fast, Naruto had his right hand let go of his katana and caught Yugito's wrist, preventing her claws from hitting him. After Naruto caught her clawed hand, Yugito then prepared to channel more chakra into her claws and increase their length, knowing that Naruto wouldn't be able to avoid them, given how his hands were already busy. But before she could do this, Naruto struck first by delivering a sharp knee kick into Yugito's cracked rib, which he cracked earlier in the fight and now broke. Once Naruto hit her, the blonde Kanoiki cried out in pain and staggered back, nearly dropping her sword. Before she could recover, Naruto followed up with a powerful kick to the chest, sending the female Jinchuriki skidding back several meters away. Gwa! Damn you, Naruto, that was a cheap shot. Yugito hissed angrily as she glared at the spiky-haired boy. Hey, Sorry Yugito-chan, but like my Ka-chan told me when she first started training, there is no such thing as a dirty fight, the smirking boy replied before he raced toward the blonde girl. Within seconds Naruto was right on top of Yugito and preformed a powerful downward slash, forcing the young girl to bring up both her katana and her clawed hand to block the powerful slash. For a minute or so the two genin once again enter a battle for dominance, and despite her injury Yugito was able to hold her own by focusing on the battle instead of the pain from her broken rib. But what she didn't know was this was exactly what Naruto wanted, and had his left hand once again let go of his sword, where to the surprise of nearly everyone in the audience, started preforming hand seals with his one free hand. No way Naruto can perform hand seals with just one hand, Yugito thought in surprise. Before she could do anything, Naruto finished his hand seals and spat out several balls of water, hitting her right in the face and sending her skidding across the ground. After which Naruto then raced towards her and delivered a powerful punch to the stomach, while using a small portion of his superhuman strength. This resulted in Yugiro being sent flying through the air and crashing into the arena wall behind her, making a large dent in it. In the audience. Alright, that's the way. Kiba cheered excitedly. Yeah, I knew Naruto-kun could do it, no one can beat him. Ino cried, as she was certain her crush had won. Nice one, commented Asuma as he let out a puff of smoke, but when the hell did he learn to do hand seals with just one hand? I'm not sure, it's possible he could have learned it from Haku in Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, Kakashi replied. Who like Asuma and the others was surprised by Naruto's new skill. Actually I taught him it before he left for Konoha, Shizune answered, causing everyone in the group to look at her in surprise. You taught him it? Anko asked in surprise. Of course, you didn't think Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya-sama were the only ones that trained him, the student of Tsunade replied with a proud smile. I was unaware that you had that skill. Kurenai said as turned to the dark-haired woman. It's a skill I picked up when I was traveling with Tsunade-sama, which I later taught to Naruto-kun. I'm actually surprised none of you knew he could do it. Hey, looks like the brat has been keeping a few secrets from us after all, Kushina said with an amused smirk, as she glanced at Yamato who just nodded. Unreal, he can do hand seals with just one hand, just like you Haku, said Chojuro in surprise when he turned to his female teammate. It would seem so, the female ice user replied while maintaining a blank look, so not to reveal her surprise. Damn, just when I thought I had this kid figured out he does something like this. It's not enough that he has the same kind of high water affinity as the Nadaime Hokage and his mother's superhuman strength. He now has the ability to do hand seal with one hand just like Haku and Hanzo's granddaughter, Zabuza thought with a frown. You certainly know how to keep things interesting Naruto-kun, Mei thought with an amused smile. Impressive, remarked Homaru after seeing Naruto use one-handed hand seals. Indeed clearly we have not been made aware of all of the boy's abilities, Danzo remarked. Agreed, although I am curious if we will see the boy's Mokuton abilities in this match, given how his opponent is the Jinchuriki for the Nibi no Bakeneko two-tailed monster cat Koharu commented. We may see soon, if the boy pushes the girl far enough, Danzo replied, who like Koharu was interested to see Naruto's Mokuton powers for himself. Whoa. Hand seals with just one hand, I never even heard of anyone doing something like that, this guy is pretty good, Akatsuki commented as he glanced at his partner. I guess, Kuretsuki replied with a small frown. In the cage box. Incredible, I did not think anyone other than Haku-chan could actually do hand seals with just one hand, a surprised Mizukage said. Indeed, most impressive, added the Kazekage. Interesting, did you teach him this Tsunade, Jiraiya? The Sandaime asked as he turned to his former students, since he had been unaware of Naruto having this skill. No, it was Shizune, she taught him it before Naruto came here, as she figured it would be a useful skill to have, Tsunade answered. I see, the old Hokage replied as he could indeed see the advantage to it. As the three other cages and the two Sannin continued to converse with themselves, the Reikage remained silent and gripped the stone armrest of his seat tightly and angrily, where it eventually began to crack under the strain. The reason for this was of course obvious, as he was angered by how his top Kunoichi Yugito was losing to Naruto and his plan was backfiring on him. Seeing this both Darui and C went over to their village leader and quietly began to talk to him, hoping to calm him down by telling him that Yugito was not done yet and assuring him she can still win. In the finalist box. Man, that's got to hurt, muttered Shikamaru, after he saw Naruto send Yugito flying into the arena wall and watched the girl struggle to get back onto her feet. Thought Shino. Come on Yugito, don't let Senju beat you, show him Kumo Shinobi are the strongest. Yelled Karui. Naruto, he's become even stronger than before, Sasuke thought with a frown, as he watched Yugito slowly stand back up. He's even stronger than we thought. He not only has monstrous strength, but can also summon large amounts of water out of nowhere just like the Nadaime Hokage was said to be to do, muttered Temari in surprise. He might actually be a match for Gaara. No way, that's impossible, no one is stronger than Gaara, Kankuro said in a low voice before glancing at his younger brother, who had an evil-looking gleam in his eyes and a bloodthirsty smile on his face, which worried his older siblings. In the arena, after Naruto set her flying into the arena wall, the blonde-haired female Jinchuriki slowly got back onto her feet and spat out some blood that ended up in her mouth from when Naruto hit her. Tisk, looks like you've been holding back a few tricks Naruto, Yugito said with a painful smirk as she looked towards her fellow blonde. Pretty smart of you to keep that ability of yours hidden until now. But trust me, you won't get me with that a second time. Hey, don't worry Yugito-chan, I have gotten plenty more tricks up my sleeves. Narrowing her eyes, Yugito readied herself, her body was pretty sore right now, and was fairly certain that she had another broken rib or two. But she had no intention of quieting, she had her pride and she had no intention of losing to Naruto again. Enter Bleach OST 4 Track 4 Power to Strive. As the two genin stared each other down, Naruto suddenly took off his sling and sheath from around his back and threw it to the ground. After which both he and Yugito fell into their individual fighting stance and prepared to recommence their battle. After a moment or two, the two blondes raced forward with impressive speed. Within seconds, the two young shinobi clashed swords with one another and began their furious battle. Yugito struck first where she tried a diagonal slash, which Naruto blocked with his katana and then pushed her back and tried a horizontal slash across her chest. Only to cut empty space as Yugito leaped back. Not willing to let go of his advantage, Naruto then used the Nagareru Mizu technique and switched his katana from his right hand to his left at high speed behind his back, hoping to catch Yugito off guard again and hit her in the side again with the back of his blade. But to his surprise, Yugito was able to block the move with her katana. I told you, I won't fall for the same trick twice, the girl said before pushing Naruto's sword away and kicking him in the left side, causing him to skid several feet away. With Naruto now disorientated, Yugito moved towards the Senju heir, hoping to finish the fight with a single sword thrust. But just as she was about to stab Naruto in the left shoulder, the blonde boy sidestepped to the right, avoiding the sword thrust and then brought his own sword down on hers, causing her to drop it. Naruto then followed through with a sharp knee to her stomach, taking the breath right out of the female Jinchuriki and sending her flying back several feet away. Yugito recovered quickly though and flipped backwards and performed a series of backwards somersaults, increasing the distance between the two. Once she was back on her feet, Yugito immediately spun around and performed 4 quick hand seals and thought Kaiten, Rensha, fire style, rapid fire. After which she spat out a long stream of small fireballs at Naruto, forcing the blonde boy to move around arena to avoid them. Eventually, after a minute or so of dodging fireballs, Naruto was backed into the arena wall, where Yugito performed another set of hand seals and thought, time to put the previous month's training to the test. Let's see if you can dodge this Naruto, Kaiten, Karu Enden, fire style, dragon flame bullet. After Yugito performed the hand seals, she spat out a massive stream of fire which took the shape of a dragon and then spilt into 3 separate waves, which converged on Naruto from both sides and the front at startling speed. When the shinobi members of audience saw Yugito use the Kaiten, Karu Enden, many of them were of course shocked at seeing a young girl like her performing such an advanced and difficult technique. Shit, thought Naruto when he saw the 3 separate streams of fire closing in on him from all directions. Damn it, they're nowhere to go, and if I jump into their air, Yugito-chan will take me out. I can't even block the flames with Senkai no Mizu since there are not enough plants nearby, and I can't draw enough water from just the air, which is probably what Yugito-chan planned on when she forced me here. Looks like I have no other choice, I just hope this works, Naruto thought as turned his katana sideways and began to spin around, just as the 3 streams of fire were about to hit him. In the audience cage box. Naruto! Cried Tsunade and several other people in the audience when they saw the flames hit the blonde boy. But before they could even think of the worst, a large spinning dome formed around the spinning Senju heir, protecting him from the flames. That's a surprised Hinata said. Said Shocker Neji. Hakusho Kaiten 8 trigrams palms Revolving Heaven. Finished a stunned Hyuga Hyashi, who couldn't believe what he was seeing. Impossible! Cried Hyashi's father in disbelief, as he watched Naruto use his clan's ultimate defensive techniques and deflect the flames around him. In the arena, as soon Yugito saw the large spinning dome form around Naruto and deflect her flames, like everyone else in the stands, the blonde girl was stunned, as she recognized the same technique that Neji had used in his battle against Naruto. Before Yugito even put any more thought on what she was seeing, a large blade of wind erupted from the spinning dome and expanded outward, where it flew straight towards her. It was only thanks to her quick cat-like reactions, which Yugito received for being the host of the Nibi, that she was able to jump into the air in time and avoid being severed from her lower half. But as she landed back on the ground, she saw that the wind blade had created a long 5-inch deep slash mark on the wall, which circled around the arena wall. End Bleach OST4 Track 4 Power to Strive. Soon after, Naruto began to slow down and eventually came to a stop, although looked to be fairly dizzy. Oh man, I think I'm going to hurl, Naruto thought as he tried to steady himself and covered his mouth with his one free hand, as using that technique for so long made him fairly queasy. How the hell do Neji team and those other Hyuga's guys do it without feeling so dizzy, especially when they have their Byakugan on? Even using the Senkai no Mizu doesn't make me feel like this. I'm going to avoid using this for now, at least until I've fully mastered it. After a minute or so, the world finally stopped spinning for Naruto, where he finally steadied himself. When he looked up, he saw Yugito staring at him with a confused and surprised look on her face. Something on your mind, Yugito-chan? Asked Naruto, who was surprised that Yugito didn't take advantage of his dizziness. How is it that you're able to perform the Hakusho Kaiten? That wasn't the Hakusho Kaiten. Of course it was exactly like Hyuga Neji's, when he used it in his battle against you, the blonde girl replied hotly. The technique is similar, because I based it on the Hakusho Kaiten and my Mizu no Josho technique. I call it Kei's no Boseki, spinning wind. Kei's no Boseki. Yugito repeated in confusion. But how? With the exception of Hyuga Neji, that technique is only known to members of the main family of the Hyuga clan. Yugito of course knew a great deal about the Hyuga clan, due to her village's interest in it. You forget, during my battle with Neji, I was able to see the technique enough times to get a basic understanding of how it works, which allowed me to figure out its weaknesses. After the battle ended, I realized how useful it was and I tried to figure out a way for me to use what I learned. Now obviously I can't use the technique itself, since I don't know the Juken fighting style and can't release chakra from all my tenketsu. Not to mention there are other things you need to do to perform it correctly. But since I understood the basics of how the technique works and have flawless control over my chakra, I combined what I knew with my knowledge of my Mizu no Josho technique, given how they work on similar bases, allowing me to come up with something that is fairly close to it, which you saw. And what makes it so different from the Hakusho Kaiten? Yugito asked, since from what she saw the technique looked exactly like the real Hakusho Kaiten. Unlike the Hakusho Kaiten, which involves releasing chakra from the body and spinning around at high speed, my technique is a little more complicated. When I spin around, I channel my chakra into my katana and slowly release it. I then convert it into wind and use my high chakra control to not only control the amount I release, but to have the wind form a large sphere around me, Naruto explained and continued. It makes for an effective defense against most techniques, especially taijutsu, since a person would receive a lot of damage from making contact with the spinning wind. Also, as you saw moments ago, I can create a large blade of wind that expands outward in all directions from my barrier. This allows me to attack my opponents even when they keep the distance from me, making it quite effective when I am surrounded. Once Naruto finished explaining the Kei's no Boseki technique to her, Yugito was naturally left stunned as she couldn't believe what Naruto had done. But what she didn't know was that the last part was a lie, as the expanding wind blade was a complete accident. When Naruto was spinning around and using his katana as a medium to control the wind around him, like when he does to use the Mizu no Josho technique, He momentarily lost control of it, due to be so dizzy. This then resulted in him accidentally releasing too much chakra and creating the wind blade that nearly cut Yugito in two. He of course knew that he would have to spend some time to perfect the technique. But despite it being an accident, he saw the benefits of the expanding blade of wind and wanted Yugito and everyone to think he meant to do that. Hold on. Now let me get this straight, a stunned Yugito said, as she tried to make sense out of all this. You're saying that from just watching Hyuga Neji in your battle with him and in just under a few hours, you came up with a completely new futon jutsu by yourself, that you based on one of the Hyuga's clan most powerful techniques and that this was your first time even using it? Pretty much, the spiky-haired boy replied with a shrug as if it was nothing. Impossible. Yugito yelled, even though she saw the proof for herself and there was no other way to explain it. Well, my Ka-chan always did say I had a knack for ninjutsu. A knack? A knack? Yugito cried inside her head as she stared wide-eyed at Naruto in complete disbelief. Doesn't he realize what he's just done? This goes well beyond being simply gifted, it should take years for someone to come up with something like that. Yet he does it in just a few hours and performs it perfectly on the first try, in the middle of battle. Just what the hell is he? Strong, good-looking and smart, boy kitten, you really do know how to pick them, comment the demon cat, who received no retort from Yugito, who was still trying to make sense out of what she had been told. In the audience, the female Jinchuriki was of course not the only one who was stunned by Naruto's revelation, as everyone else in the audience was staring at the blonde Senju with looks of complete astonishment. Naruto-kun, you're incredible, yelled Ino as she stood up and stared to cheer loudly for her crush. She was of course not the only one, as soon others started to cheer for Naruto. All right, roared Kiba as he too stood up, show her who's boss. You're the greatest, Naruto ni. Konohamaru cheered, who was soon joined by his two teammates and the rest of his class, while their teachers stared down at Naruto in stunned silence. You're amazing, Naruto-kun, Hinata said quietly with a large smile. After getting over the shock of Naruto finding a way to create his own unique jutsu, based on one of her clan's greatest techniques. Incredible, said a stunned Kurenai as she still tried to wrap around the idea of a young 12-year-old boy like Naruto doing something like this. No kidding, Asuma said, as he had to admit that Naruto was even more talented than him when it came to futon jutsu. Since he knew he could never be able to come up with something like unreal, muttered awe-struck Anko, as she was beginning to believe what Orochimaru said about Naruto was true, that he really was more talented than she was. Man, Naruto isn't normal, Choji murmured quietly, knowing that if his blonde teammate heard him, she would bash him on the head. Naruto, a wide-eyed Yamato and Shizune thought together. Naruto really is getting to be more like father, Kushina thought to herself in shock. Seeing Naruto create a completely new jutsu after analyzing another reminded her of the time when Minato first told her about the Rasengan spiraling sphere, and on how he had based it on the Bijudama tailed beast ball of a Biju. But still, that took Minato-kun over 3 years to develop and master, and yet Naruto developed his Kase no Boseki in just a few hours and performed it perfectly on the first try, in the heat of battle. It's possible he could actually be even more gifted than Minato-kun was. Amazing, I knew Naruto was skilled, but still to accomplish something like this at his age, it's unbelievable, Kakashi thought in disbelief. He had even uncovered his Sharingan when he saw Naruto performing his Kase no Boseki technique, and it confirmed what Naruto had just said. But unlike everyone else, he knew that the part about the wind blade was a lie, as he had seen with his Sharingan that Naruto momentarily lost control of the technique. Only someone of Minato-sensei's blood could accomplish such a feat at so young an age, thought the copycat nin. Hey, you never fail to surprise me, Naruto-kun, Mei remarked with a smile, as any doubt she may have had about Naruto being the perfect match for her faded. Even Sofu will not be able to deny that Naruto-kun is worthy of being my future husband, after I tell him of this. Damn, I take back what I said about this guy being good, he's spectacular, a mind-blogged Akatsuki said. His partner Kuretsuki on the other hand just frowned, as she remembered what his grandfather said about Naruto before leaving for Konoha. Don't underestimate the boy, he is of the Senju clan, and they have produced some of the most powerful shinobi that have ever lived. Just what the hell is he? I doubt even Gigi expected him to be this skilled, the Chuchikage granddaughter thought, as she had never heard of anyone doing something like this in such a short time. She was also beginning to believe that the Senju clan had some sort of bloodline limit that allowed them to produce powerful and talented shinobi. This is crazy, it took you over a month to develop and master the Kaiten, and yet Naruto-san figured out a way to mimic it in just a few hours, Tenten said as she turned to her Hyuga teammate with an astonished look on her face. Yes I know, Neji replied while thinking, and people say I'm gifted. Naruto-kun is indeed an opponent that should never be underestimated, spoke Lee. Truly, said Guy with a serious look on his face, which was highly unusual for his students to see. The Senju blood truly runs strongly in you, young Naruto-kun. Hua ho ho yo, this battle is a whirl, rhymed B. Very cool, Simui thought, who although was supporting her teammate could not help but admire Naruto's skill. To develop a technique of that level in such a short time, it's unheard of. Yeah, replied Omoi who was still stunned. To create such a technique in such a short time is one thing, but to do it in the heat of battle without any preparation or training is nothing short of phenomenal. Said Haku in astonishment, while her teammate just gaped and her sensei frowned. Ho 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 ho, Naruto-kun certainly knows how to keep things interesting, doesn't he? The fire Daimyo said with a smile, while everyone else around him looked on at Naruto in stunned silence. It's inconceivable, Koharu murmured in surprise, and yet the boy did it. Indeed, the boy is quite talented in futon ninjutsu, Danzo commented. Who was somehow able to hide his shock and maintain a blank expression. Yes, but this could cause some trouble with the Hyuga clan, Homura remarked. We shall see, Danzo replied as he focused his one visible eye on the blonde Senju. Such talent, Hiashi said in amazement, as he couldn't believe what Naruto had done, although not everyone in his clan took what Naruto had done as well as he did. This is impossible, said one Hyuga elder. And yet we saw it our own eyes, said another Hyuga elder. This is sacrilege, Hiashi father said as he slammed his fist down on this armrest. It's not enough that he defeated Neji without much difficulty, and humiliated our clan by revealing the weakness to the Byakugan and our techniques. But now he's bastardizing one of our most prized technique to make it his own. Does he enjoy disgracing our clan in front of everyone? What do we do? One of the Hyuga elders asked. For now nothing, although we'll have to accelerate our plans, said the former Hyuga clan head. How soon? Very soon. In the finalist box. Troublesome, muttered Shikamaru. Quote, question mark, quote. Thought Shino. Just how much stronger has he become? Muttered a surprised Sasuke. His futon skills surpasses mine, Temari said in disbelief after seeing Naruto create a wind version of the Hyuga clan's Kaiten. Not good, Temari might actually be right about this kid, he might actually be a match for Gaara, a worried Kankuro thought. His concerns only grew when he looked to Gaara and saw a bloodthirsty grin appear on his younger brother's face. Yes mother I know, you will soon feast on his blood I promise you, thought the young redhead. Come on Yugito you can still take him. Karui thought. In the cage box. Up in the cage box the 4 cages and the guards were just as shocked as everyone else in the stands at what Naruto had done. Magnificent, simply magnificent, a disguised Orochimaru thought with excitement where he licked his lips with anticipation at getting his hands on Naruto. Your son truly is amazing Tsunade-sama, to do something like this at his age, the Mizukage said as she turned to the slug princess. I too must concur, even my daughter Temari, who is a skilled and talented futon user would not be able to do such a thing, added the Kazekage. Yes, he is a remarkable shinobi, the Reikage said gruffly as he had to admire Naruto's talent. Although at the same time he thought, what sort of monster did she give birth to? Yes thank you Mizukage-sama, Kazekage-sama, Reikage-sama, replied Tsunade, who was now only getting over her surprise at what Naruto had done. Naru-chan always did have a talent for getting certain ninjutsu quickly, but I never dreamed he would be able to do something like this. Naruto-kun truly is the most surprising and unpredictable shinobi I have ever met in my long life. To think that someone his age could do something this extraordinary and that Yugito girl is just as impressive as Hanzo's granddaughter. In fact she may be even more talented, as to be able to use and control the Karu Endenjutsu is no small feat for anyone, let alone a teenage girl. This generation truly has so much potential in it, the Sandaime Hokage thought, as he picked up his pipe, which he had dropped after seeing Naruto use his Kase no Boseki. That kid, he never ceases to amaze me, just like his old man, Jiraiya thought fondly as he looked down at his godson. After each battle he applies what he learns from them to make him stronger. Looking down at Naruto, Jiraiya could not help but think back to his youth when he was traveling around the continent. During his travels he had heard stories about a rare type of fighter that appeared throughout history from time to time. Fighters who become stronger when they are fighting, where the longer the battle goes and the harder their opponent pushes them, the stronger they become. Could the brat actually be one of those people? Jiraiya thought to himself. I must say, Tsunade-sama, I cannot help but envy your good fortune, to be blessed with such a talented and gifted young man as your heir, the Kazekage said. Believe me, Kazekage-sama, Naru-chan has yet to show his true potential, as he still has a few tricks up his sleeves, Tsunade replied with a knowing look, which made the other cages curious. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.